on Introduction to E-Waste Management by Sri Venkatesh Murthy, founder and managing director, Vance Chemistry Private Limited, Singapore. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce our speaker, Mr. Venkatesh Murthy, the speaker of today's webinar. Mr. Venkatesh Murthy, renowned as Venki, is the CEO of the Vance Group of Companies headquartered in Singapore. With a passion and vision of India, he has set up a subsidiary in Bangalore, India, for integrated e-waste recycling company with a pan-India presence. Mr. Venki is widely recognized across the globe for his path-breaking and visionary contributions in e-waste management using modern and state-of-the-art technologies and approaches. He plays a pioneering role as a social, environmental, and corporate leader by uplifting the life-threatened conditions of informal players into the sound formal system. Intense passion and forethought for our planet, Mr. Venki is a visionary leader dedicated over 25 years of his experience in the area of waste management, environment, human values, and strong ethical practices. He has ramified the transferring of knowledge, customized technologies, processes, training, and education across organizations across the globe. UK in international marketing. His area of expertise are global expert in e-waste management, research and development, electronic and electrical equipment resource recycling plant design and setup, equipment engineering and design, technology innovation, precious metals and platinum group metals recovery from refining technologies, national and international legal compliances, green initiatives, climate change, global warming solutions, carbon credits and footprint, QEHS R2 basal management, business development, team building and training, awareness creation, and environment transformation. His achievements are immense, and he is selected as a UN APO expert to conduct EEE resource workshop for Asian countries, selected as a steering committee member for World Recycling Forum, international steering committee member on the International Electronics Recycling Congress, Switzerland, a speaker of ISRI, Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries, USA, selected as Academy Board member of Amity Business School, Singapore, and he is awarded the NRI of the Year Award winner, India, and Kannada Sadhana Puraskara Award winner, Singapore. His professional experience basically includes being a founder and managing director, Vance Chemistry Private Limited, Singapore, and one of the founders and managing director of Climilia Resource Recovery Private Limited, Singapore, and then the director operations in Citriana Industries, Singapore, and electroplating and environmental engineer, Hindustan Machine Tools, India. Sir, it is indeed a warm and a very heartwarming time for us to invite you to deliver the talk, and over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. That's a little lengthy of introduction. Thank you so much, Dr. Prabha, madam. First of all, I would like to thank Ramaya Institute of Technology, especially Dr. N.V.R. Naidu, the principal of your institute. And also, I would like to thank for connecting and arranging this webinar, Dr. Anita Kanavalli, HOD Computer Science and Engineering. And thanks to yourself as well for coordinating to make this webinar get started. And I think I'm also know that Dr. Selvi, HOD Electronics, is also assisting for this webinar, and all your colleagues. Thanks to everyone. Yes, I think we are going to discuss a very important topic today, which is e-waste. You know, there is always, I used to start my talks saying that, you know, in the past, the nature used to threaten the man, But today, man is threatening the nature. I think we created too much of technologies across the planet for our own convenience, starts from mobile to dishwasher at our home. If you look all 360-degree at our home, we only see the technical stuff, whether it's a mobile phone or the TV or the cables, audio, video, ovens, iron box, dishwasher, washing machines, refrigerators, and whatnot, the toys, the batteries, and so on. So we depend too much on the electronic products. And I think it is our duty to see what happens when, like every other living creature, when these creatures ends its life, what happens? That's what we are going to discuss today. I start with telling you all that what is e-waste, and why we need to recycle it. What happens if we do not recycle? What are the impacts which we indirectly generate to the environment, to the people health, as well as to the mother nature? And why it is important to recycle in a technical way or environmental sound management way, and how to or why we need to save our planet for our next generation. And finally, what is the business about it? I think as a lot of computer science and other students are joining for this webinar, I believe, and we always think that we should look at the current market demand and potential to create our own business, rather than always we look for the job as a computer science engineer or as something else. There is so much of opportunities are coming up in the electronics area. I'm also discussing with you, and I would like to share my experience how this e-waste is a big business opportunity. And finally, we will also discuss how Vans Chemistry and MSRIT able to join hands together to potentially create a business opportunity, as well as how we can able to help the society to mitigate these e-waste problems. Uh, can I able to share my some of the slides? Am I the host now? Yeah, thank you. Great, thank you. Is my audio all clear? Someone able to tell me? Is everything okay?
Yes, sir. It's everything is okay. We are audible.
Good. Very good. Very good. Thank you. So I always believe that waste is not a waste, which is a very valuable resource. For example, when we use the phone or the laptop or a refrigerator, we never think it is a waste. Yeah. Once it is electronically not working, we call it as a waste. We have tried in many countries to change the definition of waste into resource. So it is not a waste, it's a resource, because when the mobile phone ends its life, means to say the software is hanged or the functions are not working. As long as the material, whether it's plastics or metals, everything are intact. So we should change our mindset and the perception of waste to call it as a resource. So we have to think differently. Just to give an example, if you just look around your office right now, wherever you are sitting, look around your office, around your house, there are so many electronics we use. And unlike in the past, these technology giants, whether mobile phones or whatever technology giants, they make their equipments to the consumers to use fast and throw it out, so that they can come out with a new model, new design, so that they can sell more and make more money. That means to say, most of the electrical equipment, the shelf life is decreasing day by day because the technological updates. I'm just giving a couple of examples, like your printers, your air conditioners, your washing machines. I'm not going in detail about all the composition. So every electronic product, whether it's a mobile phone or the laptop or the desktop computers or your audio video systems, or even Today, the modernized electronics, like in the cars, we use the PCB boards in the cars, aeroplanes, you take anything and everything. Our day-to-day life starts with electronics, ends with electronics. We depend too much on the electronics today. But you have to look at that these electronics are not waste, which has got a great value of plastics, all value of metals, which I'm going to discuss in the further slides. Just to give an idea, it's not a finished product. While making electrical equipment, there are a lot of components is being used, like which we use the precious metals, including the batteries, the lamps, and so on. So now the scenario, what's going on in the global market? See, globally, we generate about 53.6 million metric tons of electronic waste as per the United Nations study in 2019. 53.6 million metric tons is close to $60 billion worth of business. Just imagine, India is the third largest e-waste generator today, which is 3.26 million metric tons, which we are going to discuss in detail anyway in our webinar. And in this, the continents wise, Asia generate about 25 million metric tons, which is almost close to 50%, because Asia hosts 60% of the global population out of 7 billion, and Asia, the big countries like India and China, younger population, buying power, and so on, makes more and more electronics, and more e-waste is coming out. Unlike Europe and Americas, Europe is more or less is saturated, and Americas also same, especially the North America, unlike Brazil and South American countries. So the second part of information you need to know, out of which 82.6% of e-waste is not being handled in a way or in a right way. It means to say about 82 to 83% of the e-waste values are being wasted. It is being handled in the informal sectors. That is the important topic which we need to discuss and understand how much value we lost it or we lose it, and what impacts we create to our beautiful planet. And out of the total waste generated, the top 10 countries, the first one is China, second one is US. China generate about 10 million metric tons. US generate about 7 million metric tons. And the third one is the India, 3.2 million metric tons. Let me tell you guys, though we are the third largest e-waste generator in the world, we do not have a single integrated e-waste recycling facility in India. But much more than that, important point, 97% of our population do not know what is e-waste. They know mobile phones, probably, they know everything electronic products, but they don't know what happens when it ends its life. So that is what an important topic, how it is a potentially business model, and what happens if we do not recycle it, which is the topic of the day. Okay, so scenario of the India, as I already mentioned, is about 3.23 million metric tons we generated, which was just 2 million tons about 3 years back, and out of which only 11% of e-waste is being recycled in a so-called formal way or a authorized licensed recycling companies. Remaining 85% of the e-waste are in the hands of invisible stranger hands. We don't know. We call it as informal sectors. We don't know what they do. They may burn, they may leach using the acids, and that's where you can see that around the cities we have so much of a hazardous problem, like a mercury problem, lead problem, arsenic problem. There are so much of health related issues around the urban areas. So there are some places where 3 to 4% of the electronic stuffs are kept in the, this is the sentimental or emotional value which generally Indians have. We just keep, we don't throw anything, but we don't know by keeping what impacts we generate in the house, which is called indoor pollution. We generate more indoor pollution by hosting all the batteries or the scrap materials in the house rather than outside. So that is also things to be worried about. Then Karnataka. Karnataka, especially Bangalore, is the second largest producer of electronic waste. As a Karnataka, we generate about close to 300,000 metric tons of e-waste, which is close to about 9 to 10% of the e-waste nationally generated out of 3.2 million metric tons. Though we have 90 recyclers, but zero integrated facility. I want to compare here. Singapore has only 60 lakhs people, 6 million people. Singapore has 3 integrated facilities, and it's very much business value to set up such kind of plants. So, but in India, even though it is the third largest and highest generating and growing at the rate of about 29%, still we do not have a right technologically advanced facilities in India. The value of Karnataka's e-waste close to about 3,000 crores per annum. 3,000 crores per annum worth of e-waste is being generated. 85% of such e-waste is not being properly recycled. Imagine the waste of resources like the gold, silver, platinum, palladium, copper, and good plastics. More than that, if they do it in a wrong way, they are endangering to the environment, like the acid rains or water pollution, air pollution, soil pollutions. Some of the vegetables which we grow across the cities has very high amount of lead. These are all the reasons why we need to recycle in environmental friendly way. So then, as I mentioned to you, only 10% of 3,000 crores is being recycled by the authorized recycling company. We lose about 2,569 crores equivalent of business. Apart from that, on the right side, you can see that what other impacts we generate by doing so. You can see that health issues. I'm going to show you a slide which what are the key health issues being contributed or being created by the e-waste informal way of recycling. Environmental degradation, we dig more and more because we want more and more. So we do not focus on recycling and put back to the values to the secondary supply chain. So we need to focus how this modern urban mining, can be initiated and profitably able to run rather than going for the primary resources of mining. So pollution, resource and energy loss, and definitely it is an impact to the economy. See, the point here is that the global challenge, whether it is in America or in Europe or India, globally, the EEE products chemistry is the same. Whether the mobile phone made by Apple, he sells the same mobile phone in America, in Europe, as well as in India. Likewise, any other electronic products, whether it's a Dell computer, whether it's IBM or HP. Irrespective of the country, the impact of the electronic waste is the same. Environmental same irrespective of the boundary. Boundary we put is only for other purposes, but the impact wise it's the same environment, same planet, same environment, so impact should be the same. So irrespective of the currency, but the value of all these products also the same. For example, if India buys a gold, it should be based on the LME price, which is a London Metal Exchange price. Same price across all the countries. So, but why the confusion? Why developing country not giving the priority to do the e-waste recycling? Though the impact is the same, though the value is the same, we are not giving the priority to do the recycling in environmental sound manner. So what is the impact? The impact is that 90% of the market is controlled by the informal sectors, and their efficiency is only 40%. In the sense, they collect the e-waste from your households. You are happy by getting 25-50 rupees per kg of TV or whatsoever, but you don't know end of the day your backyard they burn it, and they may recover only 40% of the value in very hazardous, very primitive way. So this is where white technology is very important. Other than the recovery, they may harvest some of the components They may go for acid leaching of some of the precious metal. And the worst case is they go dump in the land. It's the landfilling. So there will be an irreparable impacts to our environment, to our health and safety, and valuable resources are lost. And definitely we are endangering our planet. And this is what the gift which we are going to do or give it to our next generation. So in order for us to make sure, because we created this problem and it is our duty to solve it so that we can be able to give back a good planet to our next generation. Yeah. Very detrimental, very toxic, highly hazardous metals in the electronic components: mercury, lead, arsenic, and particulate matters. Apart from many others, of course, there are lead and there are cadmium, there are nickel, chromium. There are many such metals. Electronic products. Suppose if you take a phone or a laptop, it's not that it's made of only plastic and one type of metal. Hundreds of different components, hundreds and hundreds of different kind of alloys of the metal. Nickel, chromium, copper, arsenic, gallium, mercury, lead, and so on. So we need to think about it. What happens if we not recycle in a proper way? So this is what, there are a lot of issues. Unlike in the past, if 2030, while we were in the agricultural revolution, or to the extent the major industrial revolution, we never see so much of health related issues. But today, especially in the urban area, every born child has to go to the clinic first for the skin allergy, for asthmatic problem, and so on. This is all proven actually. You can see that, what are the substances giving so much of problems, like lead, mercury, cadmium, various type of plastics, arsenic, beryllium, barium, chromium, and so on. On the right side, you can see the health related issues, central nervous system problems, and blood pressure, brain damage, and so on. These are the toxics which we generate by primitive way of recycling. Then comes, what is the best way? Now the globe is looking on the circular economy. Means take, make, use, and throw is not sustainable. In the sense, it is not workable for the world today. Don't dig more from the primary mother nature. Whatever available above the ground, recycle in environmental friendly way and put back to supply chain, which is what the great business model is about now. So the supply chain, we use all the electronic products, and then at the end we throw as e-waste, and then it being transferred to the recycling centers, and then sometime it need to be protected, the IP, the data protection, especially for the institutes, for the banks and the government institutions. The hard disk is the one containing all the data. We need to protect the data. Then we need to go for material recovery, and finally recover back all the metals and plastics and put back to supply chain. So closed loop value recovery is the part of the circular economy. That's the best model, we think. So where is the business opportunity now? Okay, we have discussed about the problems in the e-waste. We discussed about the values in the e-waste, or business potential, or the values of the e-waste. Now we need to look at why India is the bright spot today for everything, especially for the EEE. The economy of India today is based on the EQ, which I always say that one is the electronics, second one is the energy, and third one is the environment. Electronics, energy, and environment, these three E factors are driving our economy. Why? India is the third largest e-waste generator, and e-waste worth of about $4 billion, which is equivalent to about 30,000 crores across India, where Karnataka about 10%, which is 3,000 crores. 65% the population wise, less than 35 years. Nowhere on the planet out of 7 billion, India is the only country hosting more than 65% youngsters are less than 35 years. So how much electronics we put into the market every year is about 400 billion worth of electronic products put into the market. In the sense, the purchasing of all the mobile phones, purchasing of all the laptops, desktop computers, refrigerators, dishwashers, air conditioners, and so on, electronic equipments. So highest triple E product and internet penetration, especially post-COVID. We are more going into the technological era. Starts from mobile phone to the dishwasher, working from the home. Technology is the only answer today. So the more and more the new normal life, depending on the technology, the more and more e-waste we generate. And that's where I think it is an important for discussion to how to recycle in an environmental friendly way so that all the values can be recovered and put back to supply chain. So I will not spend much time on what is the potential of the business, but I wanted to tell you where India stands in terms of the demand of the metals. Look at here, the copper, for example. India needs about 1 million tons of copper. And very sad to say, 80% of this copper is being imported every year. 80% of the metals are imported. India is the second largest consumer of gold next to China. We consume about 1,100 tons of gold out of 4,000 tons of gold annually produced in the world. So though it's about 30%, 90% of the gold is being imported. But we generate equivalent about 300 to 400 tons of gold in India from this e-waste, but we export it because we do not have a right integrated facilities to recover and put back to supply chain. So that is where the gap in Indian metals market. Likewise, iron and steel, aluminum, silver, platinum, and palladium. So these are all the demand into Indian market. This demand is growing in double digit because our budget to the defense, our budget to all the electronic sectors are growing, and our dependency on the electronic gadgets or electronic technology is growing. So long it's growing, we need more and more metals to be in the electronic products. So that is where the gap. What happens if we continue to dig more and more? For example, you take the gold. Gold, we have only 190,000 tons of gold available. And yearly, we consume about 4,000 tons. The depletion time is another 40 years. But this is based on the today CAGR, annual growth. But naturally, the world is, horse riding economy. Always we go more and more technology. It means to say that instead of 40 years, we may run out of the gold stock in next 25 to 30 years time. Likewise, copper. So another 63 years we have based on the current rate of growth. Likewise, the other metals, which is a silver, if I'm not wrong, I'm sorry. 1 second, let me see that, which is a silver, another 63 years, and the copper, another 28 years. So this is what our resources available in our primary mother earth, which we will be running out in next 20 to 50 years time if we do not recycle. So now how we can think of collaborations, or we know that there are issues around, there are huge volume of e-waste is being generated, and there is a big business opportunity to do the recycling. How we can able to collaborate? One is, the very first thing is we need to aware, or we need to understand what is e-waste and what is the importance of recycling the e-waste. And if you don't recycle, what is the impact we create to the environment? So the awareness creation is more important. The second one is technology innovation. See, at times we realized expensive technology for India may not work. We have a lot of problems in India, especially in the waste management. Not just e-waste alone, even the general waste also have a problem. But nowhere in the world has so much of problems. General waste is being managed very well. Likewise, e-waste also. But I think it is a question of our mindset and perception to put the technology to address all these problems. So technology innovation is one of the area where your institute can look into that. Then entrepreneurial program means to say, instead we always, unlike in Germany, in America, in other countries, we have from our experience, we have seen that, most of the outgoing students, they first priority for them to look into the self-employable opportunity, or the job. Instead of going for the job, they like to create their own business. So I think we need to create more and more entrepreneurs in our industry. That's where I think the startups and all we can discuss. The last one is the collection hub. See, instead of having too many outlets for the collection, we can have an hub concept. For example, your institute, entire institute, your engineering colleges, medical colleges, and all put together, we can have a collection. You may generate at the end of the day tons of e-waste. At the end of the year, you can think of your own way of recycling. This is all the plan we can able to help and work together to make it happen. Next. So I'm not going in detail about how we can create, which is something we can able to discuss in the later stage. In the collection and putting into the right bins, with the bins also with the sensors and all, we can discuss very modernized way of doing the collections with the sensors and all. And entrepreneurial programs, which we can conduct the workshops, and we can create environmental champions like startups and all, pilot projects, and internship also. And it can also be a part of your academia program, like in US, in certain European countries, they start teaching the environmental subject from the basics, not just environmental basic science. Apart from that, they go advanced environmental programs like a waste management as a part of their curriculum. So you can also think of doing something like that, where we can able to cooperate together. So I always believe that if we wanted to win in this journey, winners will not do different things. They do the same thing in a different way. Why I say, though there are many recycling industries, what is lacking, or what we need to do, is we need to think differently as a knowledge partner, as a bridging solution provider. How environmental friendly, how best or efficient way we can able to recycle the electronic waste or e-resource can be put back to our supply chain, so that there will not be any waste going into the landfill. So there need to be an R&D, like industries and institutions has to work together, especially in India, so that we can able to create an indigenous technology in the context of India, unlike European or any other developed country technology, which could be potentially very expensive. It could be potentially may not be economically feasible for our country. So we need to create our own technology so that it can be an environmental sound e-waste management. And ultimately, we need to make sure no resources being lost, no landfill, and no impact to the environment. So by doing so, what benefits? One is the social responsibility. We have a responsibility because we created these are the electronic products for our own lifestyle convenience, from mobile to the dishwasher. We need to fix it. By fixing, it's not only we are helping to the environment and our natural resources. In addition, there is a money to be made in a simple term. So by extending the life, like reuse, repair, refurbish, recycle, and refine, which is also a part of our circular economic concept. Our social value to the institutions. As an institution, you can able to claim saying on the responsibility wise, use electronic products like various testing equipments, air conditioners, refrigerators, mobile phones, laptops, desktop computers, so much cables, batteries. So if you do recycle on your own way, or if you encourage your students to get into this business, you have so much of social responsibility to fulfill, and also you can able to proudly declare that your corporate social responsibility. In addition to that, we can save a lot of resources, which is scarcity is rising now. I mean, save millions of people health and safety. As you know that 85% of the e-waste in the hands of informal sectors, they doesn't know. Unfortunately, it is their bread and butter. They doesn't know what is the impact by collecting the CRT monitors, breaking the CRT monitors using their own hand without using the PPE, proper PPE. They are exposing to the lead, antimony, and so on. Likewise, they break the batteries, nickel cadmium batteries, metal hydride batteries, lithium batteries by hand using the simple hammer. They are exposed to all the toxic metals. So basically, their lack of awareness or lack of lack of hazardous impact. So we can save possibly many millions of women and child labors in our industry by doing awareness program. Technology inventions, and of course, we have witnessing a lot of bigger issues of the global warming, from the greenhouse gases, glacier ice melts, and other disasters, like recent COVID, Corona, SARS, MERS, and so on disasters. All these are in a way is man-made disasters, and I think so. This is also a disasters we are creating if we do not recycle in an environmental friendly way. So finally, we can be part of creating this mother nature, or this planet has to be safe, so that this is the only gift we can left over to our next generation. So quickly coming back to advanced chemistry, who we are, I think the introduction has been given. I do not want to repeat again. We have about 25 years of experience. We have traveled around 60 over countries across the globe. We have seen the best and the worst recycling, and always we encourage the best practices in the recycling. So that's where our environmental leadership in terms of recycling of e-waste, as well as in terms of compliances. Recycling is a very common word, which every license has the same word of authorizing recycler. But the difference is that, the winners will not do the same thing. They do it in a different way. So that's where the knowledge, experience, and the global compliances, environmental leaderships are very important, so that this e-waste is not just addressing to prevent the pollution, and also making sure all the values are recovered and put back to supply chain. So we are a knowledge partner. We can do a right way of recycling, so that all the metals, strategic metals, precious metal, platinum group metals can be put back to supply chain. And we can be a part of the circular economy. So our facilities in Bangalore, and going to be an integrated facilities within another 6 months. We can do IP protection by degaussing, data wiping. We can able to repair and refurbishment, so that electronic products life can be extended. Instead of once it is spoiled, immediately go for recycling. It can be extended as well. We have our own recycling center, which is shredding and separation some metals, remarketing services. Finally, we recover and refine all the valuables and put back to supply chain in the concept of complete circular economy. So we are also PRO, producer responsibility organization. We have our own reverse logistics system, and we are also part of the knowledge partnership knowledge center, where we can able to impart our experience and knowledge to the institutions and to the industries, and to drive the CSR programs. Ultimately, we can also give back our carbon credits, so that we can save so much of carbon greenhouse gases, which is detrimental to our global warming. And policy guide wise, we can able to be part of your voice to avoid all the illegal mining or illegal way of recycling and so on. So just to give an idea of what kind of facilities we have in Bangalore. So these are all some of the pictures of dismantling line with a proper protection and so on. And what are the type of facilities which we have built so far in the world? A complete integrated plants, mobile shredders, precious metal recovery, and whatnot, a right way of pollution control systems and so on. So these are the products. You may wonder what will be the products. It is now, after seeing this picture, that waste is not waste, which is nothing but a great value, a secondary feedstock material. Like a funnel glass, the first picture is a CRT glass. When you break, there are two types of glasses. One is the front panel glass, and the back cone is the leaded glass. Once you clean up the lead, you can reuse back as a glass in the glass industries. So glass cullet, rubber, the aluminum, ferrous material like iron and steel, non-ferrous like a copper, nickel, aluminum. This is the platinum, silver, copper, gold, granules, byproducts. Example of a refrigerator. Your house, this refrigerator, you think you keep all the fruits, vegetables, and so on. Once you want to buy a new refrigerator, you never think that there are so much of values as well as the waste in the refrigerator. So is a compressor, the ferrous metals, aluminum, copper, plastic. More detrimental is the ozone depleting solvents, R11, R12. So which has to be recovered, distilled, and either can be reused and or it has to be incinerated. Otherwise, we release a lot of CFCs to our environment, and that's where the ozone holes or ozone depleting solvents. Yeah, this is all something just I would like to share with you all. In our experience, in my own experience, I have recovered about 12.5 tons of gold the last 15-16 years in Singapore from my previous companies as MD and one of the founder of the company. And we have recovered about 6.5 tons of platinum, about 30,000 metric tons of copper, and about 25 tons of silver, and other, of course, plastics and so on. So I will not go in detail about our credentials, which already being covered in the things. We have a great presence globally, and our associates, as we have given a consultancy to the global market, including US. We are setting up a plant in the US now, which is in Arizona, Phoenix. And likewise, we have given consultants to Brazil, to South Africa, and most of the European countries. One or other way, we are associated with these countries. So this has given us a strong understanding about e-waste chemistry, metallurgy, as well as how the compliances are important to make sense out of recycling in environmental friendly way. So with that, I think I just end here, and I would be very happy to take any number of questions. Thank you, Madam. Over to you. Hello.
Thank you, sir. It was very informative and most important thing which we need to carefully look into on the e-waste management. I would now request the participants to post the question in the chat box. We'll take it up. At the same time,
Madam, I just would like to introduce our advisor, Sri Amarnarayan sir. I think he is also online now.
Okay. Okay.
He's an IAS officer as well as our advisor, and maybe he will introduce. And he's a nature champion, environmentalist. I think he's doing so much work on the environment. So I would like to request Amarnarayan sir to introduce himself.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know, I am not able to share the video. There is something wrong with the video connectivity. Anyway, I'm very happy the MSRIT has taken it as a great initiative to introduce the e-waste management in the university campus. At my request and at a very short time, they have responded, and the department headed by the concerned faculty, they have taken keen interest in getting Mr. Venkatesh Murthy to say a few things about the e-waste management across the world and its relevance to India. As an avid environmentalist, I would like to say that this is a great resource which is going as a waste and which is being what is called going away from our country. And if all of us mind, we can produce around 3,000 crore worth e-waste into resource. So I think this is the first time in Karnataka, the MSRIT has taken the initiative to introduce the subject to the students as well as the faculty. And it will go a long way in mitigating the hazards that are posed by the e-waste. Many of us do not know the severe hazards created by this e-waste without doing in a systematic and scientific way. So I think the young minds in the university will definitely take it as a initiative, and it is a great, it's our responsibility to see that the e-waste is managed in a proper way. Thank you for the opportunity, and I think you all can raise questions with Venkatesh Murthy, who is a very knowledgeable person, and he is from Karnataka. He's from Chikmagalur, but he's settled in Singapore and doing a great job for the world. Now, I think it is high time we the people in Karnataka make use of his services to the hilt. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Madam, over to you.
Thank you, sir. This sort of initiative, we need to join hands and take it forward. I think each one of us, in a very small droplets add for the water. Same way, each initiative, each step taken forward by us will definitely benefit what we look for. So we have a question posted to you. It is basically, will the growing popularity of electric vehicles benefit the environment to a great extent, or is it going to make a very little difference to the environment?
Yeah, I would say electrical vehicle, definitely it is a great contribution to mitigate the greenhouse gases, yeah, which is very good in terms of environmental upgrading or mitigating the issues around the fuels, one thing. And secondly, of course, we also create another e-waste, which is the batteries, which are hugely used in the EV. Electronic vehicles, that is to be addressed in an environmental friendly way, mostly the lithium-ion batteries. But anyway, I think which is a very good to go for electrical vehicles. Yeah.
I have a small suggestion. Can I interrupt?
Yeah, please, sir. Go ahead.
Hope everybody is listening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Regarding the electric vehicle sector, probably I would like to say with all proudness that I was the transport commissioner in 2013 and 14. I was the first commissioner in the country to go in for electric vehicle, and I was also the first commissioner in the country to encourage an electric bus traveling from Kempegowda bus stand to Adugodi. This was a bus built by the Chinese. It was called Build Your Dreams. It was run on an experimental basis, and it evoked very good response from the commuters themselves. It was such a nice bus. It had all facilities, and it had a lot of comforts also. Now, this is now in this period of Corona or COVID Holocaust, we have seen the nature bouncing back. It is mainly because of the environment. It is mainly because of the less use of the fossil fuel vehicles or internal combustion vehicles. Now, these internal combustion engines are producing a lot of lead, carbon monoxide, and other gases, which was affecting the greenhouse gases, which was affecting the climate, which was affecting the whole environment we are living in. Now, I can quote myself as an example. In the last 6 months, I am confined to the house, do a lot of webinars, and once in a way I go out where there is less crowd and take part in the environmental programs. Now, my health is so much improved in spite of COVID threat. I have not sneezed once in the last 6 months. Now, the entire the sole reason for this is the environment is improving because there is less pollution in the city. So because of less pollution, people are getting more healthy. But the COVID virus is spreading because of the immunity issues. Now, about the electric vehicles, it is high time we invent a battery which can run for more time. That is, now there are batteries available for 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers, and now there are some companies which have made 300 kilometers range. Now what we have to do is the MSRIT can take it as an initiative to produce batteries, maybe ion lithium or lithium batteries, which can give a good range to the electric vehicles. Then after the when the electric vehicle when the batteries are discarded, again the e-waste management will come into picture. So from this point of view, one thing, if you want to save this environment, we need to go in for electric vehicles in a big way. I would like to suggest the MSRIT can take this as initiative. In the campus, they can introduce the e-carts, or in the campus, those who are working or those students who are traveling to the campus may be advised to go in for an electric bike or electric scooter or electric car. This is how we can create an example and an environment wherein we can reduce the impact of the obnoxious environmental issues that are threatening the whole mankind. These are my impressions about the electric vehicles.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I have seen some of the countries in Europe, especially the Netherlands, Ireland, and also in China, like Shanghai, Beijing. You don't see any fossil fuel vehicles. All are electrical scooters, soundless, pollutionless. I think if MSRIT, along with all other campus, decides to free zone, I mean, no fossil fuel vehicles within the campus, that means a lot, and it can be a self-sustainable business model as well. You know, when you use the electrical scooters inside the campus or any other mode of or the type of vehicle, you can also give an opportunity for the students to conduct a project on the lithium-ion battery recycling, as well as extending the life of the lithium-ion batteries. It's not that every battery need to go for recycling quickly. It can be extended by transferring the energy to the grid and use it back again in the new electrical vehicle. So it's a good point, sir, you mentioned, right?
Thank you, sir. And we have one Aditya Krishna Kumar asking, where do biotechnology engineers, what type of role do they play in your organization, and how can they contribute towards e-waste?
Bio plus technology is a biotechnology. Yeah. Okay. In a simple terms, there are a lot of biodegradable plastics. Example, is in the hot zone now globally, because plastic is one of the major detrimental in the landfill, or there are no certain plastics do not have any solutions, like fiber reinforced plastics, so-called brominated plastics. All these do not have a right solutions, which stay in the land for hundreds or millions of years because it is not degradable. One way you can look into that, how we can able to make plastic free, number one. Number two, there are new technologies coming up, how we can make use of some bio material to extract the traces of the metals, fungi, and so on, so that we do not need certain chemicals or electromagnetic technology to extract the metals. We can use certain enzymes to extract the metals. We can look into that areas. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We have one Mr. Pramod asking, the Make in India initiative is good or bad for India? Indian economy will grow, but it will also have an adverse effect on nature. Your thoughts on it, sir?
Make in India, Digital India, and zero defect to the product and zero impact to the environment, Swachh Bharat. These are all the great ideas which the government is driving, because there is only two choice humankind has: whether you want to be part of the economy, or our country stay back. So when we wanted to be part of growing economy, these are all the Digital India, Make in India. It is an important tools. Example, I tell you, economic success is not the only success for driving the country multi-dimensional growth. We as India has a great history, value systems, intellectuals, and the need of the day situations. By default, we need to grow because of the necessity, basic necessity. In these areas, I would say Make in India is an important tool where Indian intellectuals, Indian companies able to claim that to initiate their own company. Like example, I tell you China's success. Till 1970s, 80s, China was nowhere in the any economical drive or in the mainstream. But in the 20 years to 30 years, they have made very successful economical power today. I mean, if you believe that the money is the power to the extent like where now they can go to any extent to set the standards, make sure make in China is not rejected, make in China can be accepted. That is what now they are looking to on the quality, on the international standards to comply with and everything, because they have the power of the technology. If I go as a speaker to China in many conferences, mostly the industry and institutions work very closely. In terms of technology, government supports too much to the institutions. For example, the battery, you take a rare earth metals, 90% of the rare earth metals are in the hands of China today, globally, in the hands of China. And these are all with the support of the government to the institutions. They have technology and they recover the rare earth metals and they are controlling the price. And though our demand for all the rare earth metals and the metals are increasing, but not that we are able to recover more metals or more rare earth metals. We are lack of technology and lack of that kind of industry institutions collaborations. Not that we are not doing, we are doing. I mean, as a proud Indian, I would like to say government is doing, the private sectors also, but the rate of the growth of electronics demand as well as the the products growth is so humongous, but our rate of recovery or technology is not in the same phase. So that's where I would say Digital India, Make in India, Swachh Bharat, zero impact, zero defect, self-sustainability. Instead of exporting all these valuable waste to other country and importing the toxics like a ship breaking and all, we can have the technology, recover all these valuables and put back our own supply chain. We don't need to pay 12% of importing duties for importing the gold, and we pay more on the gold. When we have so much of gold, we export for the recovery. When we have so much of silver, platinum, palladium, we export to Germany, to Japan, to Switzerland for refining. If we have our own technology, if we can recover back, we don't need to pay duties, and the economy, whatever we generate the revenue, it will be part of our own economy. Yeah.
Can I add a few sentences?
Sir, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You see, the development of any country depends on several factors. Now, the government of India has brought in Make in India, Made in India, Skill India, Digital India, and whatnot. Now, it is for the universities or the educational institutions to take advantage of these programs. So now, as Mr. Venkatesh Murthy mentioned, it is the R&D which is not happening to the optimum level in our country. So the R&D levels of China, when compared to India, we are nowhere nearer. So in the last 20-30 years, China has become a superpower in the field of electronics because of their initiative in the R&D sector. Now, I would like to say that if you want to take e-waste management itself as an initiative, there are 3 or 4 Government of India programs. One is Made in India. Now, whatever we want to make in this country, we can as well produce them in the country itself, like mobile phones and all the electronic gadgets. So we have a provision. then Made in India, Skill India. We have a lot of Skill India programs which are underutilized by the education institutions and in general. And Swachh Bharat again will focus on the proper e-waste disposal systems, and scientific way of e-waste management is also a part of Swachh Bharat. If you don't have a clean air, or if you don't have a clean environment, there is no point in living in on this Mother Earth. So when we combine all these factors, now India is placed in a very good position to make use of the resources as well as the programs that are available in the market, available in the government schemes, and we can definitely rise to the occasion and see that we can become world leaders insofar as electronics is concerned, or e-waste management is concerned. And we need not import all the rare materials which we require for the manufacture of electronic goods. And then we need not export all our e-waste to other countries through which they are getting rich at the cost of our precious resources. So I would like to request the MSRIT authorities to churn these ideas and see how best you can make use of the existing facilities available in the country, and see that we can become one of the leaders in e-waste management. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we have, of course, a lot of questions are coming in our minds. It is basically on, as an academic institution, what type of R&D would substantiate what we can contribute towards e-waste management? Because ultimately it's a cycle which, the Swachh Bharat and the waste management and clean, Make in India, everything is it's a cycle. One influences the other.
See, maybe for the benefit of students and the faculty, as an institution, e-waste, the journey has many steps. Life cycle of e-waste has many steps. Say, for example, segregation at the source, one thing. Collection and transportation is another thing. Dismantling and take out the reusable is the next one, which cannot be reused. Then we need to shred and separate the valuables, the next recovery and refining, compliance. So entire life cycle has many steps involved, where the institute can put your thoughts where you wanted to come in to help. For example, reverse logistic, or for example, in the area of dismantling technologies, the right way of dismantling, cost-effective way of dismantling, or in the area where skill development or the training programs, creating an awareness programs across the society, or you wanted to enter into the zone where the recovery and refining can happen, or you wanted to be the voice of compliance, like the policy making. So though e-waste is it's not just about gold or silver or anything. In order to make it a right circular economic concept, there are many steps and stages involved, where an institute can look into that based on your infrastructure and based on your departments. Whether if you have for example, if you are running the PhD programs, there are. I always say in the institutes that there are hundreds of PhD can be created from the e-waste, because it's a new industry. IT revolution started only late 90s. The recycling, we were the first one to create a recycling industry in Singapore, in Asia Pacific, I would say. The real e-waste started coming up, since probably 2005 onwards. Okay, that means this industry is still new. There are no benchmark technologies. There are no benchmark procedures or SOPs into our industry. So where a lot of people can able to play, since the institutes has infrastructures, more than important is the resource, the right minds. If you put right minds with the infrastructure, I think, you can able to take the leadership in many ways. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And we have Dr. Nagbhushan. He has posted a question: to reduce e-waste, the policy of electronic items in selling, marketing, and reusability need to be changed, or we need to look into it?
Already the government of India, like MOEF and CPCB, working on it, in the sense under the 2016 e-waste management rule followed by amendment. There are new regulatory restrictions coming in to the EPR, like extended producer responsibility. Example that, I mean, if brand names like Xerox or Apple or Dell or TV manufacturers, whoever, how much electronic products they put into the market, and the government has its set targets that you need to collect 30% of that, no matter whatever you have to collect under your EPR, your responsibility. So in the same context, there are stipulated guidelines to reduce, reuse, if cannot repair, refurbish, if all or cannot, then you go for recycle and recover instead of throwing or landfilling. So government, like any other countries, is already made such kind of things. But only thing is, having regulation is one thing. But in our experience, the most important success of the regulation is enforcement. If we do not have an enforcement, we may not be successful. We have a guidelines or regulations, but enforcement, lacking of enforcement, that's where you can see 85% of the e-waste in the hands of invisible sectors. It is their bread and butter. Okay, so we need to transform the informal sector by educating them, training them, and making sure their social security, financial security being protected. That's where I think institution can play the role. How to transform the informal sectors to be the formal sectors, or let them play the role only as a collection agents, not taking the ownership of processing. Like go and burn, take out the copper from the cables, go and put into the acid, take out a few grams of gold. That's where the problem. Thank you. Back to you.
Yeah. Sir, actually, though we say about the batteries, at the moment the usage of batteries is unavoidable. So is there a way in which the quality of batteries and relooking to the design of batteries could help towards the e-waste management?
Definitely. There are thoughts, we were using the lead acid batteries, followed by the metal hydride batteries, followed by the nickel cadmium batteries. Today, we are using lithium ion batteries. But in Silicon Valley, already discussions going on. Another 10 years, this lithium ion may not be the right choice. There are a lot of R&D going on. Maybe off the line, we can discuss if at all institute is interested to invest on the R&D, especially on the batteries. We can discuss further on that. We have some discussions, and some project is already working on that, on the batteries upgrading. Yeah.
Sir, being in the biomedical area, I would like to post a question. It is basically with the technology coming into healthcare, the usage of batteries in terms of implantable devices to whatever we use the equipments in the healthcare sector also generates a lot of e-waste.
Yes.
How do we address that issue? Because ultimately healthcare is something which we cannot afford to compromise on.
Yeah, that is where the post-COVID has given a new lessons to the technocrats, because more and more technology will coming into the market now, because of the situations where people may not go to the office, people may not go and consult the doctors directly, physical contacts and all. So more and more technology will play the role post-COVID. And likewise, one is, in a simple terms, the manufacturers of such batteries and the electronic equipments, which you may use in your medical systems, take back programs. You can sign up with the producer. They will have to take back these electronic equipments, or whatever the medical equipments, including the stethoscopes, syringes, plastics and all. So there are like a medical waste incineration plants and all there already. And likewise, the batteries also you can collect back and do the recycling of the batteries, especially the lithium ion batteries. I mean, recycling is possible, provided we need to set the right system. By knowing before you purchase these equipments, you should know that what inside the hazardous, what is the life of the batteries, and when the battery is going to be end its life, and who is going to collect and recycle it. Yeah.
So there's a question posted by the participant. If good quality batteries are employed in electric vehicles, that may reduce the expense of driving vehicles. That is, in similar lines, we can also eliminate petrol engines and prevent the import of petrol from Gulf countries, which eventually improves the economy, they have posted.
Is already happening. You can see that the 10 years back, Gulf countries' money power is already, I don't want to use that word, is already happening. When the solar and there are so many alternative energies are in place today, fossil fuels, sooner or later, it was a lobby, I would say, in a typical term, kept all the alternative energy on the baskets or the, hiding. But today, the world has opened up. They have seen so much of benefits, especially climate change, and the on the other side of the coin, so much of greenhouse gases with the global warming and all. So these heavy, petroleum industries are the main cause for the greenhouse gases. So now with the changes in the climate change policy, international commitment to the climate change, we are seeing so much of changes from fossil fuels to the alternative energies. Yeah, I would say this is the future. Energy is the future. That's the reason any economy, if today, unlike in the past, triple E are very important, which is energy, electronics, and environment. If we work these three, that's the key fundamentals of the economy. Of course, in India, I would say that, this may not be the direct our topic today, agriculture sectors. There are a lot of technologies required in the agriculture sectors. Still, we are following 1940s or probably a century back old way of doing our agriculture. We have not managed the agriculture sector's upgradation because there are lack of intellectual minds in the agriculture sector. There are lack of a right policy to upgrade them. That could be one of the biggest strength or the area where we can look how the technology can able to help in the agriculture sectors, apart from what we are using the technology in medical, in our mobile and so on. Yeah.
So one thing is like, India, we have the skill sets with us and we have the manpower. Still, what is preventing us in scaling up to the requirements of this waste management, e-waste management?
See, madam, there are, one is that, there should be a political and policy makers willpower. See, typically when we speak to the Singapore government, I can give an example. I'm the part of the B directive. I'm part of a certain Asia Pacific policy directive. When the environment minister or the respective pollution board make the policy, they invite all the stakeholders, producers, recyclers, and institutions and industries to make the policy. The one thing is that the policy makers need to have a competency so that it can be pro-business, because we cannot say having a police stick saying that don't use the electronic products because it's going to be a danger to the environment. We are part and parcel of our life is technology today. We have to use the technology. The only thing is how to mitigate once we use, what are the steps we need to put in place so that producers take the responsibility to collect back, and then they put back to the right recycling company. So there are no level playing field in the recycling business, because there should be a criteria to license the recyclers. It's not that everyone and anyone having a simple tool, simple one machine can get the recycling license. That's the problem with certain developing countries today. So I think there should be a strong shared responsibility. All the stakeholders has to come together to fix this problem. By fixing the problem, it's not that we are only benefiting to the environment, but great amount of money to be put back to our economy. Yeah. So country like India, we have seen the success of China. We are part of Taiwan's EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. They have the moment a refrigerator sold to the consumer, automatically certain amount being collected from the producer as a recycling fund. Polluter pay principle, polluter pay principle. When they sell the product, immediately that amount has to go into the recycling fund. When the recyclers collect that material for recycling, they will get back this for the recycling. Now what is happening is that recyclers may want to do a good job recycling, but it costs money. Recycling is not free. If you want to address the CFC from the refrigerator, you have to invest technology so that it cost recycling, there is a cost involved. But every generator is looking for, when they want to dispose the refrigerator, they look for money to be paid to them. That concept has to change. There are material which has got negative value. There are material which has got positive value. Okay. In some cases, the metal value can be compensated over the recycling cost, transportation cost, because there's a technology is involved. Now what is happening is, because of the lack of enforcement, lack of awareness, what is going to happen? A company, for example, a company A or an individual, I call one informal sectors, hey, I have a laptop, I want to dispose. He will say, okay, I will pay you 500 rupees. If you call a recycler, he will say, I only pay 50 rupees. Why the difference 50 to 500? Because remaining 450 rupees, he has to comply. He need to collect in the right way. He need to fulfill all the compliances set by the, say, KSPCB or CPCB. And while recycling, he has to make sure there are hazardous material. He need to do the treatment of hazardous, and again, he has to comply. It costs money. So right now, we take it like, only comparing the price rather than looking back the metallurgy and chemistry, and also understanding that, if we give it to the informal sectors, he will only do what a primitive traditional way of recycling. He only interested to take back the valuable metals or something by traditional way, burning or leaching or so on. Whether if you give it to the recycling company, where he will do the same to take out the material, but in environmental friendly way. He use the technology, and he will also be responsible to comply. So that mindset perception need to be changed, where the stakeholders has to share the information and work together hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, further questions on chat session, we will mail you the meeting points and take it. And any other questions, we will post it to you. And thank you so much for your informative session. It is not just informative, it is starting from how we identify the e-waste and how we look into a structured way of monitoring, control, and recycle, and ultimately reduce the e-waste as such. Should be what we should probably start thinking in that direction. And it is also, you highlighted on the social responsibility by us. Every individual, we need to have our social responsibility on how we contribute to nature or to the environment around us. And maybe next time when we take when our clock stops and we change the battery, it will make us think twice where we are going to dispose the battery. I think we start from there, from the household. Yeah. That is something which we need to remember and consciously make an effort, to always keep in our mind. It may take a little more extra effort to segregate, to dispose. I think it is our, moral responsibility to contribute towards that, sir. Thank you so much for, sensitizing us and creating the awareness on how we should manage the e-waste. And we would like to take it further in our campus. We will definitely make sure that at some point of time, Ramaiah Institute of Technology should be our aim is like, if we are into zero waste management or sustainable zero waste management, that is something which we can dream for. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
And we will take this discussion forward, and we would definitely like to tie up, RIT will like to tie up with you and see how best we can contribute towards this e-waste management.
Okay. Thank you so much once again for giving us a great opportunity to share our experience and what is good for the society. Apart from potentially, you can able to generate a lot of startups and potential business model. And I'm happy to hear your zero waste concept. If we all pledge that we don't generate and we don't waste, that itself makes a lot of difference in our mindset, and that's where in large helps to the society. And also we do not need to go back to the mother earth asking more and more, give me more gold, give me more platinum, give me more copper and rare earth metals, plastics. We don't need to do that. So that with that perception, if we think, there is a way to move forward. Thank you so much with that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We will be in touch.
Yeah.
I'll just hand over to Dr. Anita to say a few words.
Thank you so much, sir. So thank you. Sir, we'll be ending this session. Thank you. And we'll be mailing you about the further discussions, like and also how to take up the MOU with the RIT. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Participants who were present for the webinar. I thank all the faculty and also thank all the students who have joined for this webinar.